I am so excited to have you here. If you are new here, my name is Genevieve Gravel and I tell stories. So if you are into ghosts, vampires, fairies, witches, anything supernatural or paranormal, if you're a reader or a writer, I highly suggest you hit that subscribe button so I come to you on the first Friday of every month with a new chapter of my work in progress. We are currently reading The Nature of Forces by Genevieve Gravel. We are on chapter 23. If you do want to get the draft version in print, I will link it down below. It is available on Amazon. But otherwise, let's just get into it, shall we? Chapter 23. Cherie's light radiates from within and affects all those in her presence with enthusiastic joy. Sorry. Excuse me. A grown woman of 5 feet in height, she keeps her dark hair cut short to her head, much like the fairies she prefers to spend her time with. Once a month she gathers the cocoon of the silkworm from the orchard of trees, and the girls all gather together. One cooks the cocoon of the silkworm in a heavy kettle over the fire. The yellow thread is gathered by another and placed on the wheel above the cauldron, and the threads are spun together for sewing and weaving, and these strands of silk are dipped into boiling pots of water. All the girls are busy pulling and pushing the wooden poles, and the threads go up and down and up and down, and they stay tight as they cross threads are gently added. The fabric is to be adorned with feathers and furs, and then sewn into dresses and gowns that any girl would envy. Alexis asks Celeste, sitting poolside as the women work, "Will you ever tell me of my mother?" Celeste takes a long, slow drawl off the thickly tight-rolled cigar and responds, "No." And with that, Celeste takes her leave. Penelope says to Alexis, when Celeste is far from view, "I know your mother. She was a child of the originals, and she lived for what? 300, maybe 350 years until you came along and killed her." "How do you know?" Alexis asks the twins. "It's called clairvoyance," Penelope says condescendingly. "Have you ever seen the past of a person with only a touch?" Phoebe asks. "Only demise. This is why Alexis avoids touching people. She always sees the moment of their death. Alexis much prefers not to see what she has seen." Phoebe responds in a snarky tone, "We've done a lot of stuff in our existence, but I would never kill my mother." The girls giggle and skip off, leaving Alexis perplexed. She knew her mother had died in childbirth. Her tale was not original, however. She had never blamed herself. It's not like she asked to be born. Or did she? Cherie interrupts Alexis' thoughts. "That's not the way of it," she says kindly while taking Alexis by the hand with a gentle and comforting touch. "She died in a fire. She was in labor and not able to escape. Her spirit left her body as you were pulled from her belly and saved from the flames. Your mother was reborn the day she died. She was reborn in you. You are your mother, do you see? You have all her power, all her essence, all her energy surging through your veins. It's why you can see what lies ahead. Not even Celeste, the goddess of the moon, contains that magic." Cherie pats Alexis on the knee and leaves her in thought. Whew. Now, while the girls spent the day in the courtyard with Cherie, Cherry Pop died peacefully in his sleep with no warning. And Cherie found him, lying spread eagle flat on the floor of her sitting room. Filled with heartbreak, she sat and pet his the soft fur on his stiff corpse before taking him outside with the intent of burning his little body in a simple ceremony. However, she cannot bring herself to do it. Her cat has been with her since childhood. She cannot bring herself to let go and falls to her knees in the soft green grasp and cries quietly. She leans against the wall, and she can hear the girls through the window above her. Penelope and her sister going on about this while tossing clothing to the ground and criticizing everything. Cherie thinks to herself, how could two such mean-spirited and selfish women come from me? She hugs the dead cat to her body and cries even harder. Now Celeste spends most of her time in solitude in the aviary with her raven. When she calls, he quickly joins her, and they spend their days together caring for each plant and reminiscing over how the way things were. Celeste summons the fairies to follow, and they run and screech, throwing thorns and poking at her feet. And still, after all these years, she finds their antics funny and cute. As she leaves the aviary, she smells something in the air, and it's the stench of rotting flesh. What has that crazy woman done now? Celeste pulls the rotting cat's corpse off the damp ground. It crackled as it lifted, and maggots fell to the ground in alarming numbers, and she walked straight to Cherie, who was on her knees digging in the dirt, preparing to plant something, if not bury it. And Celeste throws the corpse, hitting Cherie in her chest, and bits of flesh and fur splattered all over her face and apron. Some of the maggots remained on her chest as the cat fell to the ground. "You will burn that incessant cat now," Celeste demanded. Cherie clutched a cherry pop, pulling it closely to her chest, and tears filled her eyes, and all Cherie could do was watch Celeste walk away as her white coat fluttered across the moss-covered stone walkway. Celeste entered the stone fortress of the castle. The oversized red bow adorning the back of her coat was all that remained in Cherie's sight. My heart broke for her just a little, as I felt I should not bear witness to the solemn moment in this strange woman's life, though I thought it was all just a dream. Was it not? I still don't understand how it feels so real. Who are these people? And in the nights that follow, I continue to dream of this coven of witches, and I find it a nice respite from the dreams of Alexandria, where people struggle for life and try to survive in a world void of color. I miss the lack of sunlight and life that I know exists beyond the spell that protects our little cabin in the woods. I don't know of any people that exist outside of my sister and I. And while I hope for life, I fear what life must be like in a world without the moon. If people do exist, I hope they exist as they do in my dreams of the coven, and perceive them protected from the polluted air and the toxic waters. And that's chapter 23. It's a nice short chapter, but we get a new vision. Heidi gets a new vision. She's starting to dream of Celeste and her coven and Alexis, who has joined them. I think deep down, Heidi knows. Like, she knows. This is real. This is actually, something real that she's envisioning, but she still can't kind of wrap her head around that fact. And so, with that, I will leave you, and I hope you join me again the next first Friday for chapter 24, where we continue on and find out what happens next in the nature of forces. Thank you so much for being here today. Remember, you can find me across all social media under the hashtag xoxogigi. Thank you so much for being here. Remember, you are valid, you are worthy, and you are loved. Bye.